Hey guys, Marsingin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we're going to be looking at the EZA for the INT, BROLY and PARAGUS. These guys are a very interesting unit in the sense that they got an EZA that I think is actually pretty good, quite good, in certain circumstances even really good. The problem is the unit themselves, right? This is something we've talked about in the past before. If you're new to any kind of discussion on these guys, you've just seen that they've got their EZA. The biggest problem with this unit is this right here. They are on two categories, Pure Saiyans and Joined Forces, which means their only 200% lead in the game is the AGL Super Saiyans from the Cooler movie. So we are trying them out on this team. I mean, this team has all Joined Forces Pure Saiyans and Movie Heroes Pure Saiyans. So everyone on this team is getting a 200% leader skill. There's some solid units on this team. Obviously, these guys themselves can be a bit of a liability, but it's the only 200% team for them. Of course, you can run them on any other sort of Pure Saiyans build, like, for example, Physical God Goku. You can run one extreme unit on his team build and still get his full intro animation buff. So you could run these guys as a support if you're running a mostly Pure Saiyan team with God Goku, but that's the unfortunate thing. They just don't fit into a lot of... we don't have like a... Imagine how crazy it would be, because it's such a big category, if we got a Pure Saiyans 200%, like Carnival LR. That would be wild. I don't imagine we'll see that anytime soon. But anyway, we're on a 200% team this time, so we can at least see what they do at their maximum potential. These guys infinitely stack defense with their super. They do supreme damage to the enemy and they lower attack, which obviously can still be useful in some events. They get attack and defense 150, high chance of launching an additional super when performing a super. They get damage reduction of 26% within the same turn with each super attack performed. So once they've if you can get them to super 4 times, they are actually invincible. They give Pure Saiyans or Joined Forces allies 3 ki and attack and defense 50%, which is a very significant buff. Then they get ki 3 and an additional 180% attack, high chance of launching an additional super when there is a Pure Saiyan or Superheroes category enemy. So obviously with the new content from the anniversary, we've got lots of stages where we're fighting Pure Saiyans or Superheroes enemies, right? So you've got the first super that they do, then they have a high chance to launch another super. Then we have a high chance of launching another super because we're fighting a Goku. And then mine have 18 additional in the hidden potential system. So remember, even if they only get 2 supers, they've still got 52% damage reduction. So as they start to stack defense, obviously that's going to be... they're going to end up getting to reasonably high levels as it is. But yeah, they're going to be a unit that kind of lives or dies literally by how many super attacks they do. So we'll see how we get on here. Obviously in this rotation we've got like 3 links active. They have generic Saiyan links for the most part, which is good, right? Things like Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle. So like we'll be able to get those active on these kind of Pure Saiyan teams. I'm trying to think of any of the other like sort of big characters that have like a 170 for Pure Saiyans. I know a lot of characters have them on their like plus 30% and stuff like that, but these guys are in desperate need of like a new team. But I mean, 7.6 million, considering these guys are not really all about the damage, like 7.6 million right off the jump is pretty good. And then the passive additional, we do get the high chance for it to become a super. Now we'll have another high chance because we're fighting a Goku, well, a Pure Saiyan. So there you go. And then can we get the hidden potential as well? We do not, but it means on that turn they got 3 supers, so they would have had what, 78% damage reduction, plus raising their defense 3 times, which of course the infinite stack always coming in helpful. I guess we could start building up one of these guys. They're a unit that could prove to be a liability later on in the event, so but I guess at this point we've got Goku is sealed and has been attack lowered. So these guys can get some hits in for part of their morale boost thing, the costume change ability. These guys are a unit that I was never super like hyped on when they first came out. Aesthetically, I think they're awesome. Like all of their super attack animations and stuff I think are really cool. But they're just a unit that were never like super impressive to me on release, which is a shame. I think I got the 1 copy of them and the copy of Metal Cooler, did the 55% showcases, and then basically just used all of the rest of my stones from that second part of the worldwide that they came out in on the Metal Cooler banner, and ended up getting insanely lucky and rainbowed Metal Cooler in a small amount of stones. But yeah, these guys getting the ability to get some attacks off here as well, so they can get some stacks. Bit of an annoyance for the GT duo, because obviously this team has a lot of units on it that want to get supers to start building up their various abilities, but we should be okay here. I mean, God Goku stage, not the hardest, of course, but the first stage of these new Blue Zone events, so we don't have to worry too much here. But so let's see. After a turn where we got 3 super attacks, we are up to 168 start of turn, which, bear in mind, they get a lot of their they get all of their stats on super. Attack and defense 150 and the high chance to launch an additional when doing a super attack. So the stacks are not going to look as much because the start of turn defense is so low, but obviously they are going to get 150% of that. So 168k basically times 1.5 is what they get on super. So they're going to get another 250k defense on one super just from their passive. And then bear in mind they're getting the 30% raise each time, which is 30% of this number. They're getting that each time with the potential to do multiple supers. Do I want to put you in slot 1 straight away? Probably not. I'll start floating the... although, not a great spot here. Is he going to... would he super immediately? These guys do get the extra damage reduction for 3 turns in slot 1. I do kind of want them to get built up, but I'm just going to leave you there. And then... I mean, I could probably even get away with putting BROLY and PARAGUS in slot 1, even though their defense is quite low start of turn. Obviously, because they get all of their stats on super, they're not a unit that you're going to want to be putting in slot 1. Because even with that infinite stacking, right, like you can get multiple turns into the event where they've done many supers, but because they still get that massive boost actually when they attack, their start of turn defense is probably never going to get to any crazy high levels. And then of course they don't stack attack. They don't raise attack for 1 turn or anything like that on the super, so we're going to consistently see the same attack stat throughout the turn. But we did get the passive convert into a super again. We got the pure Saiyan enemy one convert into a super again. So I mean, consistently these guys are going to be rocking pretty decent defense, and then now with 3 supers, 78% damage reduction. So I mean, these guys, obviously, if you do get... It's the god luck turn, right? We haven't seen it yet out of their 2 appearances. But if you are able to get the quad super turn, they get to over 100% defense, which means in that situation, if and when it does ever arise, they tank everything in the game, regardless of what it is, because their damage reduction is over 100%. So even like, you know, the Golden Frieza countdown super. Of course, one of their additional attacks comes from fighting a pure Saiyan or superhero enemy, so they can't actually get 4 supers against Golden Frieza. You're only ever going to be able to get all of those supers against a pure Saiyan or superhero enemy. But as we've already said, that does work out decently well with the new difficult stages that are coming out, because the Blue Zone stages are basically all against superhero or pure Saiyan enemies, at least for, you know, the ones that we've gotten at the moment, the ones we've gotten so far. The ones that are coming out on JP, there's obviously more like Universe Survival Saga enemies, characters like LR, Goku and Frieza, who, because of Frieza being on the card, don't count as a superheroes card. But for all these stages coming out on global at the moment for the Blue Zone, all of the enemies are pure Saiyans or superheroes, right? Because out of the stages that have come out so far, they're all pure Saiyans except for Trunks, but Sword of Hope Trunks is obviously a superhero character. So BROLY and PARAGUS will be able to get their extra super in all of the Blue Zone stages. And they're supporting pure Saiyans. I mean, Joint Forces support is nice as well, but like any of these big teams, you're running all these like crazy pure Saiyan LRs and stuff like that. These guys will be giving them 50% attack and defense, which is a pretty significant boost. As well as the fact that, you know, as we said, if they get enough supers, they don't even, it's not like you need to get 4 supers for them to be usable as well, right? But on the turns where they're actually able to get multiple supers, they are going to be really good. So I think we can go ahead and do this. I think they share, is it 4 links with the GT duo, which is good. Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Lineage, and then Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle. They're up to 247k at the start of the turn now. So 247,000 with the 150% of that is like another 370. So that basically puts them up to, after their first super, it'd be like 620. That's without the 30% from the super attack raise as well, which then they can get multiple times. So realistically, these guys, if they get enough supers, they can get close to, if not over, 1 million defense as the event goes longer. But then they're also getting that damage reduction. And if the 3 supers, that's been pretty common so far for the 2 turns. If a unit's got 1 million defense and 78% damage reduction, I mean, 78% reduction is a pretty huge amount. Like, if we take off 78% of a 3 million damage super, that would be 660k, which, as we said, that's basically what their defense is roughly going to be after they've supered anyway. So if they get 3 super attacks, like even at the stage we're at now on turn 5, their 3rd appearance, if they were to get 3 super attacks, they would eat a 3 million damage super for double-digit damage. Now, obviously, against non-Pure Saiyan enemies, you're only at maximum going to be able to get 3 supers, and that's relying on the hidden potential. So giving these guys a decent amount of additional is good, but of course, you know, there's always the chance that you get the additional from the hidden potential and it's only a normal attack. And of course, you know, the one they get in their passive is only a high chance. So the worst case scenario is that against a non-Pure Saiyan enemy, you're literally getting 1 super and 1 normal. And then not only are you stacking a lot slower, but you've only got 26% damage reduction. They'll still be able to tank some normals, but as you get deeper into the event and you start coming up against like the final boss phase, if you've only done like 1 super every turn, their defense is then not going to be high enough to tank even some of the normals at that point. So a little bit disappointing. I was really hoping that we could get into at least 1 rotation where God Goku super attacks Broly and Paragus, but we've been very lucky with getting the high chance for an additional super from their passive to actually happen. And then, of course, this time we get only 2 supers. 2 supers, 52% damage reduction. They were at, what, after 2 supers, about 700k defense. So even then, 700k defense, 52% damage reduction. In terms of global, apart from, like, fully built-up Kid Buu, they're tanking all normals at this point, and they did dodge one of the attacks as well. I think dodge is a decent secondary ability. I don't see the point really of giving them any crit. Like, they're not on the team to do damage. In a normal setup, they would probably just be a floating support. Although that's something you have to kind of balance with them as well, is support units that stack. It's always awkward if you're then just using them as only a 3rd slot floating unit, because they're not on as many turns, which means they don't get as many opportunities to get stacks. So that is obviously something you need to think about as well. Like in the early turns when you're maybe fixing up your rotations and stuff like that, you could always have them on rotation for a couple of turns, just so that you're getting those extra stacks for them early on. Because of course they'll benefit from them deeper into the event. But I mean, so far I'd have to say this team is obviously not a team that you would go to jump into like really difficult content. The AGL Super Saiyans, I mean, we haven't really been in a situation where they've had to take like a big attack or anything like that, but they're certainly a unit that unless you're going up against a big STR boss, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable bringing them or like running their team anymore, just in case. But I wanted to showcase them on a 200% leader skill, so you have to bear in mind if you are going to run them on a different kind of Pure Saiyans build where they're only getting the 170 lead, then their numbers are going to be a little bit lower. But if you are doing any of these events against a Pure Saiyan or a superhero, it's kind of one of those things, like if a unit can get to 100% damage reduction, it doesn't matter what leader skill they're on, right? Like you could be running them on a team where they're not getting the leader skill, and if they're getting the super attacks, then they're going to tank for double-digit damage. So let's do this for the sake of science. We get 3 links from the Super Saiyan, Saiyan Lineage Prep Battle, Fierce Battle. We're at 300k start of turn. So we're going to go ahead and do this, see how many supers we can get off with them here, and then see how well they tank this super from God Goku. We saw the, we took, what was it, 170k on someone on the previous turn. Well, I thought it was physical God Goku actually, but it might have just been the tech one if it was on the last turn. I thought it was physical God Goku and he didn't dodge, but it might have been AGL Goku. But we'll see. God Goku in this phase is obviously not the hardest hitting boss in the world, but be interesting to see what these guys will be able to do here. Because again, like, getting them built up for a couple of turns and then using them as a slot 3 floating unit is probably a pretty solid strategy for these guys. So we'll see how well they're able to do here now. Good thing we got the Vegito fusion with the Scour, obviously lets us know where the super is. So now we can see, put these guys in the line of fire and see what happens. So, watch this be the turn where they do one super attack. Alright, so we've got 2 at least, so 52%. They were at 300k start of turn defense, so we're probably like over 700k at this point. There's the 3rd super as well. Come on, give me the 4th super turn. Give me that golden RNG. Ah, the hidden potential was only a normal. But yeah, 78% damage reduction, and now they have like over 800k defense roughly. So this shouldn't do any damage at all. And there we go. So I mean, if you can get into a situation where a character that you're using as a 3rd slot floating unit for supporting the team is then dropping, you know, a couple of 7 million attacks, which, you know, that's not like insane numbers anymore, obviously, but it's still better than nothing. Like, they did 3 7+ million attack supers in that turn. And then, yeah, did not take any damage even though they took a super attack. So in the right team, they could definitely be very good, especially, as I say, in these new events where you're actually fighting pure Saiyans or superheroes. But their biggest problem is just the fact that they are on so few teams. Extreme really got shafted with the whole like super bosses, movie bosses, like that kind of thing, where the character has to be the main boss. So Broly is a super boss, but because Paragus is there, they're not a super boss or a movie boss. Whereas for heroes, everyone in the movies, like the Krillins, the Piccolos, it's not just Goku and Vegeta, all of the superclass characters are movie heroes or GT heroes, because it's the same for that category as well. Whereas the extreme side gets screwed over and it's only the main, like, big bad that gets the category. Whereas, like, if these guys are on super bosses, with the way the super bosses team is shaping up now on Global, with like the Broly trio, EZA and stuff like that, I would run these guys on my super bosses team, probably. They're just really, really useful if they can get those additionals with all the content that's coming out during the anniversary where they're fighting the right enemies. Like, I would say they would almost be, I would almost go as far as to maybe say they'd be a must run. If they're on super bosses and under one of these guys, whether it be Broly or Rose or whoever, were getting their full 200% leader skill, I would almost go as far as to say that, yeah, you just absolutely should run them on a super bosses team. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So maybe we'll get a big new Pure Saiyans leader sometime soon that they'll be very good on. But, I mean, they're a solid unit. They're just lacking the teams. On a 170 team, they'll work perfectly fine as long as they're actually getting their additionals. So let me know what you guys think of Broly and Paragus down below in the comment section. What teams have you tried them out on? I will probably try, at least on whether it's for a video or just on one of the streams, we'll probably try using them on a 170 team against some of these newer stages and see how well they do. Like I say, the God Goku team could be interesting because you can have one extreme character on that team and God Goku still get his intro, but I guess we will see how it goes. So let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store and all that other stuff. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.